The ICRC has been operating in Colombia since 1964. It's one of the longest running conflicts in the world, decades of violence and enormous humanitarian needs. Our main concern is the humanitarian consequences on the population. The armed conflict has been affecting this country for half a century. The actors are the FARC and the ELN against the government of Colombia. They also include criminal groups, criminal gangs or bands. Their activities are armed, are violent, and also have a huge impact on the population. When you have armed confrontations, displacement, separation of families, occupation and destruction of private property, recruitment of minors, dispossession, landmines, unexploded ordnance. The whole scope is in there, which explains the size also of the operation in Colombia. We have access to the most remote corners of Colombia. We do talk with all actors to armed violence. We focus in areas where the state has no access because of violence. It is, in large part, remote rural areas where we have this access and security thanks to our contacts with the guerrillas. It does happen also in cities, in neighborhoods where the state has difficulties to get in because they are under the control of armed groups or armed bands. Colombia has almost 70,000 missing persons, plenty of cemeteries all over Colombia, small cemeteries, many of them in small villages and municipalities, have plenty of NN tombs, that is, persons that are not identified, either because no one knows who are they, or nobody knows where the families are. It's not a problem from the past. People are still going missing as we speak. These processes come also with release of detainees that often need to return home. And we have plenty of people coming into our office asking us if we can facilitate the release of a number of people deprived of liberty or taken hostage by different groups. And we in Colombia always say, yes, it's possible, because we really have the feeling that we can do everything. Since 1994, the ICRC has facilitated the release of over 1,500 people. One day, you don't know exactly how. When you get in touch, we get contacts, you get calls, you get plenty of intermediaries, you know that this release is going to take place. And the organization of choice systematically is the ICRC. Why? Because of this acceptance, because of our capacity to go into places where no one else basically does, and because of our contacts. And then D-Day comes, and we send out our teams. Those are very complex operations. In 2012, we facilitated the release of 36 persons, from one contact to the other contact, and in 1, 2, or 3 days you end up receiving those persons, and then we bring them back out of the forest, out of the mountain, and hand them over to their families. There is a peace process ongoing in Cuba. The government of Colombia and the FARC requested us to facilitate the transfer of members of the peace delegation of the FARC from Colombia to Havana. We did that for 24 persons, and we continue to be available to both parties to facilitate this kind of transfers as neutral intermediary. The peace agreement is not the end of humanitarian needs in Colombia. We plan on continuity. Why? Because it's not really certain how much of an impact Cuba will have on the ground. If a peace agreement is successful and there is a demobilization, that could open the field for the criminal groups to take over these areas. A successful peace agreement will need the support as well, political and financial, of the international community to make the implementation of this peace process a success. Signing it on paper is a first step, crucial, very important, but it's only the initial step. The issues that they are tackling are not small issues. What the parties are trying to achieve there is to put an end to a 50 years long war.